Okay, so before we dive deeper into our conversation, how about if you tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, what you do, and how do you get into it?
Right. Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me today. My name is Pritam. I just finished my PhD at University of British Columbia. Also did my master's at UBC. Recently moved to Ontario. I work as a AI research scientist,
Okay.
and precisely what I look at is how do we make AI systems, agents, embodied AI. We hear a whole lot of AI words these days.
Mm-hmm.
At the core of it, it's always a system, right?
Yeah.
And what I work on is how do we make these systems safer, resilient, and secure, which is very important to push the widespread adoption of these technologies and
Mm-hmm.
actually get the most out of it, not
Yeah.
live in fear that something might go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I've been doing for the past 7 years, I should say.
Oh.
I've been in the computer security, cybersecurity field
Mm-hmm.
for over 10 years.
Yeah.
And in the last 5 to 7 years, I have been in the AI area.
Mm-hmm.
This is the most consequential technology that we are seeing in at least in our lifetimes,
Yeah, that's completely true. Yes.
right?
Okay, so most of the people, focus on making AI smarter,
Hmm.
making AI more accurate.
Hmm.
But from your line of work, it
Hmm.
looks like you're putting more emphasis on how you can make more, so how you can make AI more safer. So how is that a harder problem to solve?
Hmm. Making AI smarter is hard in itself.
Yes.
Um, why safety and security of AI is even harder is a lot of the times we make decisions when we are building a new technology. The decision is always driven by how do we achieve higher performance? How do we achieve higher accuracy? How do we achieve the fancy thing that we are chasing, right? And in the quest of that, we often make assumptions where we assume that everything is perfect,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because our goal is to get that high performance
Yeah.
to start with.
Mm-hmm.
In this process, we often overlook some of the uncertainties and some of the imperfection that exist in the real world,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you're building a robot capable of doing some autonomous operation, the robot relies on sensors
Yeah.
to perceive the world. And
Mm-hmm.
then we have algorithms and models that make appropriate
Yes.
autonomous actions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sensors can be faulty. Sensors can have issues when the weather changes. Sensors can malfunction from time to time. It could have some manufacturing defect.
Yeah.
These are the realities of
Mm-hmm.
our world, right?
Yeah.
Often we don't consider about these things when we are building some new technology.
Yeah.
What makes safety and security hard is in our world, technology world, I mean, safety and security is often an afterthought.
Yes.
We want a pluggable safety method or a security method plugged into our existing
Mm-hmm.
technology. Now, as a security and safety researcher, I often have to balance both. I cannot propose a 100% safe solution, but that takes away the performance.
Yeah.
And the product teams or the inventors who have built this fancy model or a fancy system, they wouldn't like this idea because they'd be like, we spent 5 years getting it from 60% to 90%, and now you're telling me that in order to make it secure, I have to drop it down to 80%.
Mm-hmm.
That's the challenge. How do you
Yeah.
balance, right?
Yeah.
You want to maintain the security and the safety aspect. At the same time, you also want to maintain the performance and the utility of the
Yeah.
system. This balancing act makes it really challenging.
So how important it is to create an AI autonomous system which can perform better under the pressure situations.
Under pressure, what do you mean?
I've read some of your research papers, and one of the papers were mentioning um, that it's not always about system detecting a fault.
Hmm.
Like for example, if there is an AI autonomous system,
Hmm.
okay, and then it has some problem over in that system,
Hmm.
and because of that, it's like the way it has been programmed, it is stopping to like it's avoiding the crashing of that system, but while doing that it's also breaking the very important constraints which could also violate some safety issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It again goes back to the balancing thing that we
Yes.
talked about,
Yeah.
right? It is challenging. I think what you're asking is developing something in a lab environment where everything is perfect. There is no
Yeah.
pressure. You
Mhm.
have the perfect set of environments and the perfect set of conditions for a system to work. But
Yeah.
when you take it out to a real world, there could be some uncertainty. I think that's what you're pointing
Yes,
as
yeah, that's what
pressure,
I'm pointing
right?
at. Yes.
It is a hard problem. That's why we still don't have self-driving cars. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
go back to 2010, I'm not sure if you remember those days,
Yeah.
but I do remember. When I was no 2011 is when I was in my first year undergrad,
Mm-hmm.
and around that time we were hearing in about 6 to 7 years, 2016, 2017, that time frame, we will see fully autonomous cars.
Yeah.
Now we are 10 years ahead of that time frame. We still don't have fully autonomous
Yeah.
cars. The reason is exactly what you pointed out. It's very hard to have fully autonomous systems operating in a whole lot of uncertain conditions,
Yeah.
right? When we have a perfect situation, going to the autonomous car example, we have the technology today that can drive a car in a highway,
Yes.
in an easy highway, I should
Yeah.
say.
Mm.
But to drive in city roads, to drive in neighborhood roads, it is still a challenge.
Yeah.
When you have bikers and you have pedestrians and maybe kids playing and maybe a soccer ball comes into the middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
These are all the uncertainties, which is very hard to, it's very hard to encapsulate all of this
Mm-hmm.
and build a solution which achieves all the three axes: performance, utility, as well as security,
Yeah.
right? That's a very hard balancing act.
Okay, so while testing such kind of autonomous system, so as you said, it's not possible or it's very difficult to have it operated in the busy areas, like especially the autonomous cars.
Right.
So while such kind of autonomous systems have been created or in process, so what's the closest they can get while testing? Like what's the closest they can get to the real world environment? You know what I mean?
Right. So
Yeah.
there are many ways to do that. Two most common approaches are a data-driven approach where you collect a whole bunch of data. I can give you even more concrete. So Tesla is one of the leading players in the autonomous tech,
Yeah.
and Waymo is another leading player in the autonomous tech. Both of them have very different approach.
Yeah.
Tesla takes a very data-driven approach. There are a lot of Tesla vehicles everywhere, all over the world, and these vehicles collect data, real world data, which goes into Tesla building their future tech,
Yes.
right? Waymo, on the other hand, doesn't have that many vehicles going around. Waymo is operational, I think, only in 3 cities: Phoenix, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. Now they are going to expand to New York. You can imagine, much smaller scale, right?
Yeah.
But Waymo is equally good as Tesla, in some measures, even better, right?
Yeah.
How do they do that? Waymo built a different way of handling the same problem. They do a simulation based method for data collection. Imagine it's just like game based, right? You
Yes.
simulate it. Like how in games we have levels, and in different levels we have different scenes,
Yep.
and in different scenes we have different players and opponents and whatever else that happens in the game, right? Waymo took that idea for data generation,
Okay.
and that's how they generate synthetic data. And here you have a whole lot of control, right? You can do whatever simulation you want.
Yep.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, I think so. Yes. So given your explanation, so if you know, go 10 years ahead, let's say, so what's that one particular thing which excites you the most? Like right now, you're in the industry, working very closely with all the new technologies that have been coming up, right? So you're doing hell lot of research. So what's one thing? What specific thing is exciting you the most?
We are living in very exciting times right now,
Yeah.
where, let's take a step back before I get to 10 years down the line. In the past 100 years, we, as a human society, right, we have seen four different types of industrial revolution. This is the fourth one that we are seeing right
Yeah.
now, right? And what happens when we go through each of these cycle is that our life, and like life in general, we will see a major uplift, right? If you go back 50 years or 60 years, people were working 7 days a week, maybe 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Nobody was working 40 hours,
Yeah.
right? I would say only after internet became a thing, mainstream, around early 2000s and forward, we started getting into this 40-hour work setup. And there are some companies and some countries who are even experimenting 30 hours work, That is just one example to show that when we have better technology, that inherently improves our life, makes things easier, makes things more convenient. So we have more time to do other things than just
Yeah.
work,
Yeah.
right? Um, I'm excited to see how the AI revolution, Industry 4.0, as it is
Mm-hmm.
called,
Yeah.
the fourth iteration of industrial revolution. I'm excited to see what kind of changes we will experience after this goes through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, especially after like 2022, the revolution has been massive. Like everybody's been using AI.
Hmm.
So that takes me to the question that lots of people are using AI. It doesn't matter they're from tech background or non-tech background. Mostly, I can say 70 to 80% people are now starting to use it. But the thing is, they don't really seem to worry too much about the security constraints or anything.
Hmm.
So how do you like to educate people if they're not from tech background
Hmm.
regarding how they should use AI in
Hmm.
terms of keeping the data safe and their privacy safe?
Okay, good question. If users are not thinking about security,
Yeah.
but the security is upheld, that's
Yes.
the best case scenario we want,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I have to go and tell the users that you have to do these three things or five things for your data security and whatever else, that means we have already missed the bus, right?
Yeah.
Now we are playing catch up,
Yeah.
right? In a ideal scenario, it should be very seamless. User of something that I built shouldn't even care about, am I safe, is my data being taken care
Mm.
of, or is this system that I'm relying and my career depends on this tool is resilient enough, right?
Yeah.
That should not be a thought that they should worry about,
Yeah.
right? But I'm not saying that we shouldn't think about it.
Yeah.
It's the people who built it. They should already incorporate these kind of resilient and security methods,
Mm.
that the end user should use things as it is. It should be completely seamless,
Mm.
right? That's the kind of world I'm envisioning with. And we are in a much better situation to handle AI security than we were in the previous few technologies that we have seen in the past 15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
We were not in a better situation to handle when wearable things started exploding, right?
Mm.
There are a whole lot of security issues with wearable things, which are not fixed even today. When IoT became a thing about 15 years ago, we were not in a good situation to handle those security issues.
Mm.
Again, the same thing I would say. Today, even we haven't fixed all the security issues. With AI, we are in a much better situation. I think as the tech community, we have learned the things that we missed in the past, and there is a lot of involvement of policymakers when it comes to AI. So the combination of these things is really helping the push towards making AI more safer and secure. All the top leaders, like when you look at industrial leaders in AI, everybody is working on making these technology safer, secure, and resilient.
Yeah. That's right. So let's say I am a user with no tech background at all.
Mm.
Okay. And then I'm using, let's say, any of the AI tool like ChatGPT, Claude,
Mhm.
or Gemini or anything. So should I be worried about how my data has been handled by any of these platforms, or if, like, how should I keep my mindset while using all of those tools?
I wouldn't recommend anyone going to ChatGPT and asking very personal questions, right?
Okay.
Of course, whatever, just bear in mind, whatever you type into these chatbots or agents, everything is recorded and everything is stored somewhere. That is how
Hmm.
it is, right?
Yeah.
Now it is up to the user how much tolerance you have on the data that you are sharing with these companies,
Hmm.
right? Um, for example, when I'm using, not in an AI tool setup, not in an AI scenario, when I'm using Google Maps, I don't care that Google is recording my movements,
Yes.
right?
Right.
This is my willingness to be okay that this has been used by Google and they are probably using this in their algorithms to estimate the traffic and all that. I'm fine with it, right?
Hmm.
But I wouldn't go and put my health records in Google somewhere.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm one of those people who are very skeptical on putting these records on Google Drive, right?
Yep.
You have to make an educated guess, calculation like this, right?
Yep.
So what is your tolerance of how much you are okay sharing and where you draw the line?
Mm-hmm.
It really depends on the career and the domain someone is in. For example, people who are artists, right? They see a lot of risk using tools like ChatGPT, Nano Banana, and so on. So it is up to you how much is your tolerance, what are you willing to share, and if something feels like I'm not comfortable sharing it with like a person, you probably shouldn't put that on a AI tool as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, it comes very much for the user to decide. But here I am trying to give some examples on how to deduce what makes sense and
Yep.
what you shouldn't. There is no clear line for us to determine. It really depends on the kind of work someone does, the kind of career they are in.
Mm-hmm.
Doctors and healthcare professionals shouldn't put personal identification information into these things.
Yep.
You can use generic things like if someone wants to check some symptoms, like you don't have to put the person's name in it.
Yep. That's
Just
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a balance that probably would make sense.
Mm-hmm. So that means we'll have to be very selective while using all these
Yeah,
tools.
yeah. Like
Like,
as users of these tools, we have to be smart enough to understand I get some advantage and utility out of these tools, but I also don't want to expose myself to a whole lot of
mm-hmm.
risk, right?
Yeah.
And I think we have used a whole lot of internet tools that I would imagine normally people are, I'm not saying everybody is, but normally people are pretty smart about where to put their information and where not to.
Yep. That is right. Yep. So I think it's really important for everybody to know that,
Hmm.
how the data has been handled and how selective they should be while
Yeah,
using these platforms.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to add one more thing to that how the data is handled, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I would suggest everyone to go with an assumption that whatever you put into these agents and chatbots, it is stored somewhere,
Yeah.
right?
As a log or as anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
So given that we don't know where it is and what is stored, I haven't seen anything concrete from a lot of the AI tools that I use about we take good care of your data and so on. Like I haven't seen that yet, right?
Yep.
So I'm going with this assumption that whatever I'm typing here is stored somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and it depends on me how much I'm willing to, what is my tolerance to share,
Yeah.
right?
That is right. Okay. So while you were pursuing your PhD and even before, like throughout your whole journey,
Hmm.
so what were the main challenges that you faced in terms of gaining all the knowledge, um, in managing the work and studies together? So how
Hmm.
did you manage all of that?
I think PhD provides a very good platform to learn a lot of life skills as well. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just technical skills and academic skills. Time management as one of the things that you pointed out. Um, what happens to give a very quick understanding of what happens in a PhD setup? Imagine you are running a project,
Yeah.
you're the only person working on it,
Mm-hmm.
right? That is typically not how we have projects functioning in real world, right? There's always a team, at least even a small team. There's always a team lead, and there are always people who are supporting
Yeah.
the lead in various kind of tasks, right? When you do all of that yourself for a period of time, then you learn the skills. How do you distribute tasks? How do you prioritize tasks? How do you do your time management? This is not the only task that you're doing.
Yeah.
um, how do you decide if you should do this or you shouldn't do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that setup and that environment is kind of designed for people to learn these skills. um, I would say if someone is thinking about a research career and going into a PhD, um, I don't want to dishearten anyone, but I'll just say it bluntly, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, it is hard for everyone.
Yeah.
So you are not the only one who is struggling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who has gone through that process, everyone has struggled in some way, more or less equal ways, right?
Yeah.
Perseverance is very important,
Yeah.
and not having the attitude of not quitting and just going with it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, get help from people. You don't have to figure out everything on your own.
Yeah.
um, yeah, these are a lot of things that going through a PhD actually taught me. So I consider that as not just like an academic achievement and an academic learning, but also I learned a lot of life skills.
Okay. Yeah. So I find it like even the professors must be very supportive during all these PhD programs, isn't it?
Generally, professors are very, very supportive.
Yeah.
Um, it is also important to have a very good open communication line with
Yeah.
your professor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, the more you explain what you're thinking and what your concerns are, the better solutions might come your way. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't say it, nobody knows,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So to be honest, it very much sounds like you have to be very much passionate if you want to pursue this. So how did you get into this? Like what made you interested at the first place?
I have always wanted to get into a research career,
Yeah.
and one of the ways to learn the skills that get you to that point is getting a PhD.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the initial motivation
Yeah.
of why I wanted to pursue a PhD. And also, like when I was in my towards the end of my undergrad, when I was actually trying to decide what do I do, what kind of job should I take, what kind of
Yeah.
career should I take, and what excited me about a research career is that you're trying to solve problems which has a lasting mark. I was reading about the founder of internet, Tim Berners-Lee,
Mm-hmm.
and imagine if someone didn't invent internet,
Yeah.
how would our lives be today,
Yeah. We'll
right?
be unemployed by this time.
So that attracted me, that we are opening as so researchers and scientists, at least the prominent ones that I read about, they did something that opened new avenues and new doors
Yeah.
for new kind of technology and new kind of services and new kind of jobs and a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
And that kind of a career sounded very interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started figuring out, okay, how do you do that, right?
Yeah.
Studying undergrad in India, we don't get a lot of research exposure.
That's right.
At least back in those days, things were like 10 years ago, things were maybe 15 years ago, things were a little bit different. Um, anyway, I started figuring out that, okay, how do you become a researcher?
Yeah.
How do you become a scientist?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what really helped me is that I got a few internships during my undergrad phase.
Yeah.
I did an internship with RBI in India, and then
Oh.
I did another internship in Germany. And in my last year of my undergrad, I did an internship in Singapore.
Okay.
And through this internship experience, I get to see how researchers
Yeah.
work, what do they really do,
Mm-hmm.
and how they identify what to work on, at least a glimpse of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then the decision was pretty much made
Yeah.
that this is it, this is what I want to do.
Okay, that sounds really interesting. So the thing is, I have done my undergrad in Canada, right? So I'm not really educated or familiar with how the undergrad education is in India, especially. So you have done both, like undergrad in India, and then you have done your master's and PhD here. Like, so if you have to compare
Mhm.
the education in India versus education here in Canada in terms of exposure, in terms of practical knowledge, so how would you compare both the countries?
Um, it is very hard to put a general analysis of both. It really depends on where you go for your education in India,
Yeah.
right? Um, and also, it depends on at what level, what kind of university. Different universities have different curriculum, so it's hard to analyze these things on like one platform, one scale. Um, but generally, I would say that in India, just my observation that with the undergrad degree, it is possible to have a very good career, right?
Right.
In this part of the world, because of the type of jobs that we see here, I'm not saying that undergrad is not enough,
Mm.
but in this part of the world, I would say a master's degree actually take you, or any kind of graduate degree, doesn't have to be like a master's in, tech or even masters in whatever else, right?
Yeah.
That gets you to the point where you can do more exciting things.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, I'm not claiming that that is the only way,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what I see most people doing,
Yeah.
right? um, right. I didn't really answer your question, like what is different. It
Um.
really depends on where you go.
Yeah. So let's put it this way.
Mhm.
So you have done your undergrad in India, right? So that means your foundations, all your basics would, like, I'm assuming that it must be going on from that undergrad degree in India,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
then you did your master's here.
Mhm.
So did you point any difference on how you were getting experience
Mhm.
in terms of, how the professors are, or how the education is?
Okay, I can point to one difference, I think, and this largely, I'll speak for myself. When I was doing my undergrad in India, it was very much, at least I was like that, very much of a let's do my assignment, let's do my course, let's get some good
Mm-hmm.
marks,
Yeah.
maintain my GPA.
Yeah.
That was the primary goal. Towards the later phases of my degree, my thinking changed a little bit.
Yeah.
But what I see here is that um, people don't generally chase GPAs. The GPAs are important. You want to have a good GPA that helps in a lot of ways, but that is not the only thing that matters.
Right.
When I was in my grad school, I was also working as a teaching assistant and interacting with a lot of undergrad students. And what I would see is they're more interested in understanding fundamentals and understanding getting like the real skill, not
Yeah.
just getting through the exams and the assignments
Okay.
and so on.
Mm-hmm.
It could be different in India now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't interacted with folks who are currently in their undergrad.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope that's the case. Um, yeah, don't do the things I did.
So now, so that takes me to the point that nowadays I have noticed, like, all the undergrad students, or like all the students who are doing bachelors right now,
Hmm.
they are kind of focused on just completing their assignment. There is a new term called vibe coding, where you
Hmm.
just have to put a prompt of your assignment, and you can just copy paste your assignment and submit it. So they're more focused on that.
Mhm.
So what advice would you want to give to those people?
Ah, if well, if someone just wants to bypass the assignment and just be get done with it,
Yeah.
if you're not interested in solving something, I don't think that I can give any advice that will
Mm-hmm.
change it. But what I can add, continuing on our conversation, is it is very important for folks in undergrad level to prepare for the future that we will see 5 years, 6 years down the line, right?
Yeah.
We're living in a remarkable time where we don't know what it'll look like,
Yeah.
right?
That's right.
If we go 10 years back, like 2015, we could sort of imagine what 2020 will look like. Now in 2026, we don't know what 2030 will look like. That's the pace of technology that has picked up over the past few years. Even someone like me who is working at the cutting edge
Yeah.
domain, I don't know what 2030 will
Yeah.
look like. Now, the question is, people who are currently doing their undergrad or thinking of going into undergrad, what should you be studying? What should you be focusing on, right?
Yep.
Um, I don't have the best answer for this. This is a
Yeah.
very open discussion, very open
Yeah.
conversation. What I would do if I was in that phase of my life, I would focus on fundamentals, focus more on math, focus more on physics,
Mm.
right? Computation is just a derivative of math,
Yeah.
in my opinion. And if your fundamental mathematics and fundamental physics is good enough, you can pretty much pick up anything that you want to learn. You can learn robotics, you can learn whatever you want to learn,
Yeah.
any coding, any kind of technology, any kind of framework that's easy to figure out.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So I recently graduated like 6 months ago. So I'm not saying that I was not doing any vibe coding, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I am the part of those students too,
Right.
like, somehow. But I was still trying to understand some concepts so that I can at least make myself familiar with how the technologies have been going on,
Hmm.
right? So, but most of the students are not really focusing on understanding the basics or understanding the concepts of any algorithm or anything. They just want to probably do the copy paste and then get rid of their assignment.
Right. It is very hard for me to suggest something to someone who is not motivated enough to do it.
Yeah.
Right. I can give my recommendations and advice to someone who is interested. Like you said, you were trying to figure out how these technologies work. If someone has that motivation, I can add to that. Right.
Yeah.
If someone doesn't have that motivation, they just want to get through their exams and close the year and do some vibe coding and get answers from ChatGPT. I don't know what I can tell them to change that.
Yeah.
I'm not skilled enough to give them the guidance. I feel. Yeah, but people who are motivated enough and they want to figure out new things, learn new things, I would say stick to fundamentals. Try and figure out, coming to AI, like how the models work. What are the fundamental building blocks of the model? It is very hard to learn all these things by yourself, but at least try to understand how these things are put together and how it works. Right? Try to get those answers, not simply like getting some framework and downloading a model and using it. These days I'm seeing videos that kids in high school, they're doing these things, right?
Yeah.
Because it has become so easy and so accessible.
Yeah.
So with someone as a computer science degree holder, how are we different from someone who doesn't have a computer science degree?
Yeah.
Right? That's what I would suggest. Try to understand the fundamentals, because here's the thing, right? Today we are doing LLMs, VLMs. Maybe 2 years down the line, we'll do something else.
Yeah.
Right? If you know the fundamentals of how these computation blocks work, how modeling works, and what kind of calculations happens in the black box, right?
Yeah.
It'll be very easy for you to pick up whatever is the new tech that is coming down the line.
And I think that has become very mainstream nowadays. So let's say I open LinkedIn, and then I could see thousands of posts where people are building projects of mentioning that I have created a chatbot, and all they have done is like cloning the OpenAI key, right?
Yeah.
So I think
right. It has. That's also good. In many ways, that is now people who are not skillful in coding, they can also take advantage of these technology and build something for themselves. But that is more of a like an application, right? We have sort of moved away now. Application development is something that, in my view, will probably be, or probably already is, like Claude Optus is probably good enough to do any kind of application development you want, right? So in this kind of a world, what sets a computer engineer apart from these kind of models, or doing a fork of some model and building something on top of that?
Okay, so let's say if there is a 19 or 20-year-old boy who's probably in his undergrad, he's very anxious that AI is might going to take his job, or he's just going to stay unemployed for the rest of his life. So what do you have to say to him? Like, what steps he should take? Like, he's willing to put on the work, but he just doesn't have the right path.
Okay.
Right.
AI certainly will change our lives.
Yeah.
And already is starting to. And there will be some jobs that will probably become obsolete. Now, here's the thing. This is not the first time this is happening, right?
Yes.
Earlier, as I explained, that in the past 100 years, we have gone through 3 industrial revolutions. This is the 4th that we are experiencing. Every single time we have gone through a massive shift in how the industry works. A lot of jobs have become obsolete, right? But the good thing is it always opens new jobs and new avenues.
Yeah.
Right. In 1950s and 60s, after World War II, when the world was kind of settling down and everyone was focusing on how do we build bigger economies, better economies, we started bringing machinery to manufacturing, where you don't have someone manually building a car, but there is a supply line and there is a pipeline, and then things are pretty much built by machines, and humans are there for supervision. There is a Toyota manufacturing setup in Cambridge. Like, if someone gets a chance to visit that, you will go and see that nobody is taking a screwdriver and trying to build a car, right?
Yeah.
Now, is that a better job, or manual work is a better job, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just giving an example that happened about 70, 60 years ago. Now we are going to a situation where AI is automating a lot of jobs, less like coding, kind of testing, computer, software developer, software tester, these kind of things. This is only going to make our life easier and simpler, right? And the goal is now to figure out that what kind of skills do I learn which will make me desirable, right?
Yeah.
And the best advice I can give is learn how to think, not just copy a solution and
Yeah.
put it into this context,
Yeah.
right? Because AI is very good in copying things.
Yeah.
If somebody has posted something on Stack Overflow or GitHub, Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini, they remember these things,
Yeah.
right? But where the human developer will have an edge is the critical thinking in trying to solve the real problem in a way that balances a lot of metric that somebody cares about.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I would like to unpack it more a bit. So, for example, there is a student. So, I'm just going to carry forward with the student example. Okay. So, there is a student. He has a hell lot of assignments to do. Okay. And then he also has a part time job, and he's willing to put 2 hours a day to build a skill which can make him stand by in the today's world. So, what skill he should focus on, particularly if he wants to become a developer or let's say machine learning engineer, and what skill he has to really invest in.
Skill is not something that you can pick and learn, right? You have to choose a task, and then skill is learned in the process. So for someone who has that kind of time, I would suggest start building something, you know.
Building projects.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do your own hobby projects, do something more challenging,
Yeah.
not just something that is already existing and trying to run it in your setup and doing some little tweaks, but actually pick up some real challenging projects. You can go to Kaggle, and you can go to a lot of tech companies, big tech companies, they launch their own what is it called, some kind of coding challenge, robotics challenge, whatever it
Yeah.
is, right? You don't necessarily have to participate in that if you're in a time crunch, but just pick up the problem that they're looking into and try to figure out that how do I build this, and try to do it by yourself. Not like you can take help from AI tools and look for answers in the internet, but
Yeah.
not just like copy somebody's code.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I pointed out, right? Like learn how to think, not just copy a
Yeah.
solution that works.
I think I'm gonna agree on it the most because when I was doing my undergrad, doesn't matter how much I read about the concepts or read about all the notes. I would only be able to get a good grasp on that concept until I create a project on it.
Hmm.
So I think creating a project is a really good skill, and
And it
not a
is,
skill, but I mean really good task that everybody should invest
yeah,
in. Yeah.
and it's also fun. It's not something that, so if I have to sit every day for 2 hours and learn something, after 3 days, it kind of becomes redundant. It kind of
Yeah.
becomes too much to focus. But if I'm building something, and if you're doing it in a team setup, even better, then it is easier to push yourself to do that every day,
Right.
right? Um, that's another thing I would add, that it's also important to do things in a team setup where you also learn the team dynamics, how to
Yeah.
work with teams. That is also important.
Okay. And as you said before, you're a research scientist, right? So it must be mentally very heavy, I'm assuming. So how do you cope up with it? Like, what's your, cheat code to just reset your mind?
Um, I try to stay away from screens as much as I can after work,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, um, and I try to go outside. Well, not in this kind of weather, but
Yeah, that's what I
generally
was
just
thinking.
going out, going for a walk or doing something like playing some sports.
Yeah.
I like to play tennis. I like to play golf.
Hmm.
These kind of physical activities and physically moving things help me in kind of disconnecting. The other thing I like to do is I work in my day, the hours that I work, and then after that I kind of switch off.
Yeah.
So I don't like engaging in. Sometimes it's a problem when I hang out with friends and they say, "Yeah, let's play board games," and I'm
Hmm.
not much of a board game person after a work day, because that to me feels like work. Because I'm strategizing, building things in my head.
Yeah.
I don't want to think
Yeah.
after my day is over. I want to do something different. Yeah, so I do some cooking from time to time,
Wow.
or mainly some physically moving things. that helps me disconnect from think something else, not about work,
Not
or
about work, yeah.
keep your brain a little bit, give it a little bit of a breather, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is something that works for me most of the days, not always,
Yeah,
but it is important to do something a little bit more physical.
yeah, that's true. So you said you're in this line of work from last 12 years or
um,
10 years?
in the field of cybersecurity over
Yeah.
10 years now,
Okay.
in the field of AI over 7 years, 6 to 7
Is there
years.
any particular thing that you wish had done something differently or probably earlier?
Me personally,
Yeah.
I haven't really given it much of a thought if what
Yeah.
would I go back and change, but there are a little bit of small things here and there which I can point to, but it's water under the bridge now. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy where I am, and I'm glad how things have pieced together for me. I'm lucky in many ways that I got the right kind of financial support that I needed when I was in my grad school. Yeah, so no complaints.
No complaints. Okay, that's how it should be, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that will be everything from my side. If you have anything more to add on,
Mhm.
please feel free to do it.
Well, it was really nice chatting, understanding um, how it also helps me understand how the users of AI are thinking about AI.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's also a little bit of a thought-provoking thing for me. A couple of conversations that we have about, as a user of AI, what should I be thinking? These are some things that I normally don't hear or think
Yep.
about. But yeah, it was nice discussing some of these things, and happy to help the young folks in identifying what makes sense for them.
Yeah.
And if anything that I can share from my journey helps
Mhm.
someone, that's
And
fantastic.
I think that's really important for people to know that um, using this is safe and like how safe it is up to what context. Because
Yeah.
when I see some, older age people, like older group of people, like maybe in 30s or 40s, not
Hmm.
in 30s, but 40s or 50s, they're always worried about, okay, I'm using this tool, but is it safe or not? Should I do it or not? They always ask these kind of questions. So
Right.
there is a lots of confusion out there in the market
Hmm.
about this.
Yeah.
So
Um, True. But for AI tools,
yeah,
as I pointed out earlier, we are in a much better situation to handle the safety and security
yeah,
risks. And in my view, in an ideal setup, the user shouldn't worry about, should I do anything different to
yeah.
be more security aware and to be more safe, right? It should be completely seamless.
Okay, yeah,
from
perfect.
from a utility point of
Mm,
view, you shouldn't see any difference,
yeah,
but you should, the the platform and the service that, or the tool that you're using, should provide the best
mm, yeah,
security and safety that is expected.
yeah, yeah. No, that's really helpful. Yeah. Okay. I think that will be everything then. Thank you so much for your time,
Thank you for having
and
me.